So I get the question of what's the difference between in-house billing and remote billing pretty often. And you're probably expecting a specific answer such as claim submission is different or denials are different, but none of those answers are what I'm going to speak about today. And you'll actually probably be surprised at what my answer to that question is. So make sure you keep watching. So medical billing can literally be done anywhere, right? That's why they sell you that dream of doing medical billing on the beach and doing medical billing in your pajamas and doing medical billing on the moon. They sell you that dream that you can do medical billing anywhere because you actually can do medical billing anywhere. And we're not the profession that necessarily has to be seen. Most of the time when a patient goes into a doctor's office, they're not thinking about the biller. They might think about the doctor, the nurses, people that they actually see, but they don't always see the biller. We're kind of on the back end of it, and we deal with the administrative, financial back end of stuff. So you don't necessarily have to see us. So doing billing in-house, whether you're in-house or you are doing it remotely, it is something that is possible. Now, as far as the what is concerned, which is the duties of a medical biller, they are pretty much the same. We always have to send claims, post payments, deal with denials, all of that stuff. So if you don't know what the duties of a medical biller are, then you can watch this video right here. It's pretty old, a little kind of old. I need to update it, but it's pretty much the same exact duties that we do. So it's not the what that is different when you are doing in-house or remote medical billing. Now, before I jump into what is the difference, let me define in-house and remote. So, of course, in-house medical billing is if you are actually doing the billing in the practice that you work for. As far as remote is concerned, there are two forms of remote, I want to say, and not that the remote is different, but one is being an employee and being remote. So you work for the practice as an employee, but you do the work from your home. So you're really greatly connected to that practice. And then you have being a remote medical biller and being maybe a business owner, such as myself, or a contractor, where I do it remotely as well, but I'm not an employee. And if you have any questions that you want me to go further into, you can always schedule a remote one-on-one with me where I answer your personal questions about medical billing, all the things you may need to know. I'm not teaching you medical billing in this remote one-on-one, but you might have questions outside of how to do medical billing. You might want to know about getting a job, schooling, all of those stuff. So I'll leave the link for that. Now, in my opinion, there is one major difference between in-house billing and remote medical billing. And that for me is the how. And we're going to break it up into two sections, I guess you can say. One is going to be the resources and the other is going to be your frame of mind. So under the resources, I have 3 points. So the first one is who you have access to. So when you are in-house, you have access for the most part to all the people that you need, whether it's the provider, the coder, nurses, front desk, whoever you need to speak to, you have access to them pretty much immediately. But when you are remote, whether you are an employee or whether you are a billing business owner, you will probably have to email them or, text them, since nowadays we do that, or call them on the phone. Like, you don't have direct access to them as you would if you was in the same building as them. So having access or not having access will slow you down if it takes too long as far as with, what you need to do. My second point is the timing, because if you don't have access to this person pretty quickly, you're dealing with a lot of maybe follow-ups on claims, you need some information, but you can't get to them quick. You know, you're waiting on them to respond back to you. You were planning to do this appeal today, and because you have not heard back from them, you can't finish your job. And I'm saying this from experience because I work both in-house and remote. And when I'm working remote, I have to wait on people. It might be a day, it might be 2 days. Sometimes it might be quickly if I just have to pick up the phone and say, you know, I need to find this person, hunt them down. But even that takes time. When I'm in-house doing the billing, I can just walk up to the front desk, ask the person the question, they give me the answer, I go back, I get my stuff done. And then last, it is the equipment. So when you're in-house, your equipment, your resources as far as, you know, what you use, all of those things are pretty much supplied by the practice, right? So you might have a IT department, and there is of course security, because you always need some form of security, but it might not have to be as stringent as it is if you were remote, because you're right there. Everything is right there. It's in-house. You know, you may not even have to, let's say, printers or something like that. Your computer is connected to the printer right there, so you don't have to do too much things for the most part. But when you are remote, you're gonna have to make sure that the security is really, really legit and just, you know, on point. Because now, of course, everything's going through the internet, and, you know, when you're sending back and forth information, all of that needs to be very, very secure. And this is whether or not you are an employee or if you are a billing business owner. Now, if you are an employee, then most likely, again, your employer will supply these things for you. So they will get you probably a computer, you know, internet access, all of that stuff. And then their IT department would make sure, or I should say, should make sure that all of that is set up correctly, and that, you know, you have what you need that's going to make your area secure. Now, you're also going to need to, if you're doing your billing from home, you know, you have family members there, you're going to have to make sure. Now, they might give you rules, you know, you need to make sure you're in a room by itself. You need to make sure that you're, you know, if your door is locked, they might give you their set of rules, but you're going to have to make sure you follow it. In-house, for the most part, you probably don't have those rules, because remember, everyone's most likely an employee, and patients are not probably coming into your section or your area. So you don't really have to worry per se about all of that stuff. But if you're on the outside at your house, in a coffee shop, wherever, doing your billing, you really, really need to make sure that you keep everything secure. Then as far as being remote and being a billing business owner, now remember, when you have a client that you're billing for, the practice is not going to supply you with computers and IT and all of that stuff. You are going to be responsible for having that done. They're going to expect that you know that you need to keep the information secure, and that you have put in place things that need to be put in place so that it can be secure. And then there is your frame of mind. And I left this one as last, and I hope you're still here watching this video, because this for me is the most important. You can deal with, you know, who you have access, you can deal with equipment, you can deal with how fast they get you that access, all of that stuff. But your frame of mind is very, very important, because when you have the frame of mind that, you know, I'm working in-house and I need to make sure that I have A, B, and C, D done, because my boss is going to come in, they're going to ask me tomorrow what I did, and, you know, you have a quota to meet or something like that. Most of the time, you will get what you need to have done. But when you are remote and away from these people, not that if you are doing the billing as an employee, that your employer is not still figuring out if you're doing what you're supposed to do, giving you a quota and all of that. But it can make it a little bit harder to, let's say, concentrate if you have family that's there. Or you can be alone, but then you're probably thinking about, oh, I need to do the laundry when I'm finished, or I can just slip out here and I can just cook me a little bit of lunch since I'm here and I'm hungry. Like, all of these things are things that you have to deal with when you work remote compared to when you are in-house. Your frame of mind can be different. When I first branched out from my 9 to 5 and I started to do some contract work, I was like, I know what to do. You know, I've been doing billing at that point for probably, you know, over 5 years. So I was good with actually knowing what I had to do. But I had a hard time separating being home and actually doing what I had to do for my billing. So I would come home, and if I, you know, felt a little lazy, I didn't do much, and I would like forget to do certain things in the billing because now I'm in that comfortable environment of my house. So I had to start to do things that made me understand and realize that although I am home physically, I am at work and my brain should be in work mode. So I made a little space for myself before I got my actual office. I made a little space for myself that I always did my work at. So I didn't do my work on my bed. I didn't do my work, you know, at the kitchen table with my family. Like, I made sure I did it in a little area that was secure, in a room that was maybe locked. Like, I made sure to separate myself from my home life and get into that work mode. Now, if you understand what I mean by being in work mode, then leave a comment below, because I don't think sometimes that people realize that working at home sounds good, but you have to kind of put yourself in that frame of mind in order to do what you have to do. Also, to go along with your frame of mind is to make sure that you are both efficient and effective in doing your billing. So again, when you're in-house, you're at work, you have that mindset, you're getting things done. Hopefully you have habits and routines and stuff like that put in place. And when you do remote billing, whether as an employee or as a billing business owner, you still need to have those routines, those habits, all of those stuff put in place so that you can be productive and get your work done. The difference is not necessarily the what, which is your duties, it's the how, which is how you get these tasks done for medical billing. And if you're someone who believes that remote medical billing is for you, then make sure you check out this video right here where I talk about the pros and cons of remote medical billing. I'll see you in my next video.